So I guess the first and most obvious question to ask is how you first got involved with Aleto, what the sort of the catalyst was for you to suddenly put your efforts in behind it.
Yeah, so I got approached a few years ago by Sir Ken Alyssa. That's the man who you don't say no to. And he discovered me actually because one of his trustees worked with someone I was mentoring. I've been mentoring that person for 5 years, and she had actually been on one of my charity trips because I've got my own charity out in Botswana where we look after 500 orphans. And she said, well, if you're looking for a new CEO, I know a guy who can do it, or who you might want to talk to. So I met with Sir Ken and Gary, and whilst we had really interesting meeting, I said, I can't do this. I'm really busy. I'm setting up a financial advice practice. I've got no money at all. I can't afford to do charity again. And here I am 2.5 years later.
But you must have seen a lot of charities along the way. I mean, both in terms of your kind of former career rather than just now, but specifically around, I guess, and yes, Sir Ken is a persuasive character, but what was it particularly, I guess, around the Aleto mission that was critical for you, or that connected with you?
It was helping young, intelligent people move forward in their careers. I think that was it more so than anything. And the reason I say young and intelligent is because sometimes when we kind of talk about the black narrative and that young people should be given more opportunities just because it's unfair, the ones who are really working hard, who have got that level of intellect and intelligence, and who have fought through the challenges that they have faced throughout their lives, are the ones that that can actually help change the narrative of all black people. And they're the ones who actually will get into positions of power, provided they're supported and guided through. So for me, coming from a tough reality background, it was really a no-brainer to kind of help people who are already halfway there.
Yeah. Why is it important to highlight the needs of black students, or the need of black talent, over the need of other talents that might be from similarly disadvantaged backgrounds?
Yeah. Hey, look, we're not saying that, because we're a social mobility charity first and foremost. So we look at people from tough reality backgrounds who have got the intelligence, and the ability to become leaders, and who want to work within our organisation. Now, historically, I would say that we were 100% black graduates and young people who kind of came through the door. Historically, so that you can cut this, historically, I would say that we were 100% black. But since I've been in the chair, it's open to everyone. It really is. So provided you have got the ability, got the tenacity, and you want to prove that you can actually work hard and make a difference, not only for yourself, but for the wider community, who are the sort of people who want on board in our organisation.
So the narrative that you created for the business, what's the driver for you? Is it the scale of the organisation and the number of people that you touch? Is it the partners that you build relationships with? What's the key drivers for you?
It really has to be about taking us from London to national and even international. And the reason being is that there have so many young people who are left behind, who go through the schooling system. And when you get to 16, you've got an opportunity to turn left or to turn right and make your decisions. But it actually starts before that. So if you start to think about where you were born, the environment within which you live, your parents and what they do, part of your future is already formed for you from the age of 5, 6, 7. So you get to 16, and then you've got to make a decision. Do I stay on at school? Do I go to a college? And then at that point, do I get a job? Do I do a training scheme? Do I go off to university? And in our community, what we sometimes see is that there are not enough role models to help young people make that decision, or to guide them and move in the right direction. And I'm typically one of those people. I kind of grew up from a broken home. My parents were both blue-collar workers, and therefore, I kind of had to make my own way and model through and decide what I wanted to do and how I got there. And probably it was probably a lot more of a challenge than it would be for my children now, because I am educated and understand the ways to kind of move forward.
the responsibility to move the needle and what you're seeing in terms of organizations really stepping forward to drive change. Is it really changing from what you're seeing now versus last year and the year before?
It is with some people, and I have to emphasize some, because it was actually quite easy for organizations to reach out post the murder of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement to say, right, it's now time for us to be more visible about some of the work that we'd like to do in the D&I space. And therefore, we'd like to reach out and work with some organizations that are either Black-led or have a large number of young Black students. And for me, it was disheartening, to be honest, because not everyone was as authentic as they could be. Some of the conversations I had with large corporates was disappointing. And this is not just about ticking a box. This is about making real change in our country so that we've got a leadership that reflects the people that live here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kind of harp on about this, but this week we saw a Sainsbury's ad come out with a Black family. Now, I saw the ad, but I didn't actually equate it with a Black family. I just saw a Sainsbury's ad, another Christmas ad, bar humbug, oh God, and here we go again, Christmas. But then when I saw the furore on Twitter and the like, it just tells me how far we've got to go. And I can understand why some organizations are signaling.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm too old to kind of be working with people like that. And I see you. You may or may not understand it, and there's times when as an organization we've needed more money, but we're not going to take money at any price.
Yeah. One of the things that fascinated me about Aleto, and I guess connected me to Aleto, was it's not easy to become one of the mentees within the Aleto Foundation. You put people through some pretty significant hedges and get them to jump some significant hurdles. Just tell me a little bit about how you bring talent on board, how you choose the talent that you work with.
Yeah. Well, our program's been running for 10 years, and I suppose the last few years we've improved and we keep on improving. And it's important to do that because trends are changing with technology, and also some industries are contracting. So it's important that we're at the forefront of our game. So when we advertise, we typically get somewhere between 300 to 400 applicants, which we have to narrow down to 60. So Veronica Martin, my CEO, did a fantastic job of going through screening the CVs, and we screen them from the perspective of have they complete the application correctly. If they haven't, it has to go to one side. And then we then score them. After that, we will then interview 120, and then they'll then go down to 80, and then we'll then do a final interview on 60. And some of the things that we're actually looking for is where have they demonstrated leadership historically? So that could be working in their local community, in church, the hospital. It could be some setting up after school clubs. It could be that some of them are tutors. It could be that some of them come from single parent backgrounds, and what they do is they look after the family and have been breadwinners from the age of 17, 18. So when you start to read some of these stories, Nick, and I think about my tough upbringing, it is very, very humbling. And then when you sit and you talk to them, it's very impressive in terms of their ambitions and what they want.